Good evening, everyone. We're going to call this session to order, and Steve's going to go ahead and get us started.
Thanks, everybody. I appreciate our retirees who are able to join us tonight. Some of you have been retired already and have been enjoying retirement, so thanks for coming back and spending some time with us tonight so we can honor you and acknowledge your contributions to the town of Plainville and Plainville schools. We have a number of people who are going to do that tonight. So first, we're going to ask Vicki Trzynski if she would do the honors of saying a few words about Suzanne Schweitzer, our wonderful school psychologist who has been here for many years, and I'll let Vicki pay her full tribute. I may add a few things later on. But
good evening, everyone. I am here to honor Suzanne Schweitzer, who has been school psychologist in our district since 1997. Suzanne has supported lots and lots of children through our district, as well as many administrators. She's broken a lot of us in. Starting in 1997, she worked at Wheeler School and then moved part-time from Wheeler to Linden. From there, from 2001 to 2014, spent her time at Linden Street School. In 2015, I was able to talk her into doing part-time at Linden and part-time at the middle school. That was her sort of bump up to the middle school, in which she really enjoyed, but really wanted to be back with our youngest friends. And so then this year, she's been supporting our students in our behavioral program at Linden Street School, the RISE program. It has been such a pleasure to work with Suzanne over the last 22 years that I have known her. And I am very grateful for her support and her understanding. She is a magnificent clinician, really understands children and families. She wears many different roles and many different hats, and many of you may have seen her throughout the years as Queen Frostine, if anybody remembers our Candyland games. She's known to many as Auntie Bubbles. And she also is one of our distinguished veterans who has also served in the military prior to coming to our district. So we're very thankful for your service, Suzanne. Thank you. I am looking forward to hearing about her continued adventures with her family, her husband David, her daughters Danielle, Aaliyah, and Hannah, and her son Charles. They have a wonderful house up in Massachusetts and are looking forward to that. And I'm mostly looking forward to the fresh blueberries that grow in her pasture. And so I'm really excited for her. And Suzanne, I really do want to thank you for all the work that you've done with our children throughout the years. It's been such a pleasure to get to know you.
And just a couple of things to add on, because you know me, I'm never short of words, but Suzanne is just a calming presence wherever she goes. As Vicki said, she's done so much to help calm the those students who just needed the right person at the right time to help them through the challenges they're going through, or the right staff member at the right time. She's also been a wonderful coordinator of the Veterans Day ceremonies at the middle school that have been, when you were at the middle school for part of your time, a huge part of that celebration, which has become second to none, in any district I know, and that's really a highlight of our district celebrations. So thank you for honoring our veterans in the way that you have, and for your service, and for all that you've done to make the district a better place. I know we're hoping that you may still spend some time with us in the future. It's kind of like we
never let them really.
We have these retirees who never, you don't really let them fully off the hook, but
too many kids who need us, need them.
Yeah, so we want to congratulate you. We have a little something for you. So, I don't know, Lori, if you want to join me, and Vicki. We'll do the picture, and then we'll let you talk. We'll sit down so I'm standing over you. Is that okay?
Dear Board of Education members, Town Council members, Mr. LePage, school administrators, and Plainville citizens. They say the hardest part of a 1,000-mile journey is the first step. Well, I beg to differ. The first step was the easy part. I took a job interview at Wheeler Elementary School, and I got home, and as soon as I opened the door, the phone was ringing. They offered me the job. I said yes, and here I am 25 years later. So now is the hardest part, because Plainville is my second home, and you're all my second family, and I am leaving. I am leaving the job that I love and the children and families that I've enjoyed working with over the years. When I decided to become a school psychologist, it was because I wanted to heal the world in just a very small way. I know that there's still a lot of healing to do. There are 5 million children diagnosed with mental illness, and every year, 20% of American children are diagnosed again. There are even more children that haven't been diagnosed yet or given the support or services that they need. My final message to all of you is not to give up hope. If you believe in a happy and healthy and peaceful world, then you must not give up hope. Hold on to your vision and work in some small way to heal the world, whether it's be the environment, people, animals, etc. Devote yourself to that cause. When you do, it's not only healing the world, but it's healing yourself too. Turn your karma into your life's mission and never, ever give up. I want to say thank you all for your friendship and support over the years. It's been a pleasure serving the Plainville community, and I send you all best wishes and hopes for many blessings in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Suzanne. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce Jill O'Brien, who's going to say a few words about Nancy Cooperman from our Adult and Continuing Education program.
Hi, I really want to thank the Board of Education, administration, and Joan Calistro tonight, and all of you. Congratulations, and staff. It's really great to be here with you tonight. Nancy, words fall short in expressing my gratitude for your long and loyal service. I value the many hours you've spent with the Adult Education Department. May your retirement be filled with as many fond memories as you leave with us. Congratulations, Nancy. We're really going to miss you. I have something for you. This is a journal, and I hope that you fill it with all of your new adventures. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, everybody, Board of Ed, and everyone who came tonight. And I'm without words for a change. I just want to thank everybody, and it's an excellent program. I always have a good, kind word. Everybody I meet and say, boy, if you want to move to any town, Plainville's town to be in. And congrats to everybody. It's improved immensely, and I greatly appreciate it, and you'll always get a smile from me, so thank you very much.
Okay, now it's my turn. I'm going to take my computer with me, but to honor Steve Bussell. So we'll tag team this a little bit. I know we said some nice words about Steve and at the a prior board meeting when we received your letter of announcing your retirement, Mr. Bussell. But as Steve said in his letter, after 40 years working in building maintenance, both in the corporate world and with our school district for the last 18 years, correct, Steve? Steve has decided to go on and, at least more of his time playing golf. Hopefully he'll learn how to do that game a little better. And, no offense, but, just shave a couple strokes off. Working around the house and just being with his lovely wife. And his family, his sons, I know he's driving up to Vermont and helping his son up there on his house, right? It's still, all right. I gotta make sure I get those things right. But just Steve's a family man. He's a dedicated member of this community. He's been the Iron Man for so many of our building projects, and whatever need comes along, you just text or call Steve, whatever emergency might be, a crisis, or the longer term projects where you're mapping out a school renovation project that's an enormous undertaking. When we're currently working on the middle school preparations to get ready for referendum and to get the project submitted, just working with the architects and construction solutions group, they keep talking about Steve. So, Steve had this, Steve gave us this. So we have a pretty good understanding because of Steve. So it kind of all goes back to Steve. So it's just nice to have someone of Steve's caliber, Mr. Bussell's professionalism, his dedication, and we're going to miss him. We're still working out some potential opportunities, hopefully for next year, depending, how things go over the next couple of weeks as we prepare for the application process. But I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Adlerstein, who is the direct supervisor of facilities, and Steve. So with that, I'm going to give the mic over to you, Sam.
So we're tag teaming it a little bit. Actually, Steve LePage said, "Do you have anything nice to say about Steve Bussell?" And I said, "Do you?" And he said, "I'm not sure. Maybe." So anyway. Thanks, Steve. I didn't really start thinking about how I was going to miss Steve until recently when we started interviewing for Steve's replacement. And when you interview for somebody, for a position, it really makes you think in detail about what the things are that person does and what you'll miss. And so I started thinking about all the things that Steve Bussell does that we're going to miss around here. And at first I started thinking about the shiny floors and how our buildings look so clean. And then I realized, that's not really Steve. That's our excellent custodial staff. And sure, Steve rolls up his sleeves. Actually, it's his leadership style. He leads by example, and I think and it works, and people respect him. But I don't know that that's the thing I'm going to miss most about Steve. So then I started thinking about when things break, and also when we don't have air conditioning in a building, and people have to scramble and try to fix it. And then I realized, well, that's not really Steve either. Steve's a great problem solver, but we have a wonderful maintenance staff, and that maintenance staff is the first line of fire for fixing those things. And Steve is an excellent problem solver. He has great facilities experience. He's probably seen it all by now. But I don't think that's the thing I'm going to miss most about Steve either. And so I started wondering, what is it that I'm going to miss about Steve?
Sam, this isn't going so well. You want me to take the mic over again? I don't know if he feels too good right now.
Steve has a knack. He has a knack of solving problems before they happen. He figures out what needs to be done, and you don't always get credit for that. It's hard to give somebody credit for the issue that you didn't have. And every facility director wants to do that. Every facility director wants to keep their equipment as in tip-top shape, but then you have a budget, and the budget gets in the way, and you can't do it. But Steve has figured out ways over the years to be able to do it. And I don't even know if I can explain this, but he has bought equipment by borrowing from future savings that equipment will generate. Don't make me say that again. just as an example of some of the clever things that Steve was able to do within his budget that's avoided problems that we probably don't even give him credit for, that has paid us dividends over the years. And Steve, I was just talking to Maggie, and I was a little worried that she wasn't going to be too thrilled about you staying on a little bit and helping us out a little bit down the road, but she assured me that she would. So, you know, I'm happy that I don't really have to say goodbye, that you'll still be around. You know, I will miss you. Probably don't even know half the things that we'll miss you for until they start coming up in the future. But thank you for all you've done over the years, and it's been a pleasure working with you.
And don't forget about all the, I know you've kind of touched on this, but with buying things with the savings that you're going to accrue, you know, all the energy efficiencies that Steve has taken advantage of, with whether it's the solar energy or the pool cover, you know, things with the power companies, and you know, just things that we wouldn't know about, but that Steve's been actively involved in pursuing. So I think you said it really well.
No, but that's a great example. The energy saving program that we have, I think, not only paid for some of the preventive maintenance and allowed us to keep the facilities program up to speed, but also was able to help us out with instructional budgeting. I believe we've saved millions over the years.
So I'm going to get in on Sam's, you know, because he's interrupting, so I'm going to interrupt too.
Go right ahead.
So I just have to say that, you know, if not for Steve Bussell, I don't think we would have had, I don't think we'd be anywhere as far as solar, the energy savings, everything like that. When he did it, the pool cover, when he did this stuff, everybody was like, really? It's, you know, that's kind of, you know, a little cutting edge, and why are you pushing the envelope? And let me tell you, Steve pushed the envelope. And because of Steve, we are where we are, and it's a good place. So, you know, just a little ahead of his time, like, kind of like, you know, the savings of the, whatever it was you said, I can't repeat it, but kind of like that.
Wait, in addition, I'm going to vouch for his golf game, too.
Golf lessons. That's what
I didn't prepare anything, so I just want to thank everybody, the Board of Ed, and Steve and Sam and everyone for giving me this opportunity for the last 18 years to work here. It's really been a pleasure. I've learned a lot, and it makes me feel good. The work that I've done has helped out a community. So thank you, and I really don't plan on going too far, so I'll be around for a little while longer. Thank you. Everyone's got my cell phone number.
All right, I get to speak about Jeff Steele. So we weren't sure Jeff was coming till earlier today, and we had, and your previous principal has retired, so she's off having fun somewhere. But she did send me some. And Steve's retiring, so we figured, you know, we don't want to make Steve. Well, Steve did share some words, so here we go. So from Principal Lynn LeGoik, I do want to share a few things about Jeff from her perspective. Jeff knew all the ins and outs of everything in the school, even the teeny tiny nooks and crannies. I thought that's only like those little English muffins, but anyway, nooks and crannies. I guess buildings have them too. All of his work to prep for school events, assemblies, and programs, sometimes at the last minute, helped to make them all possible. Oh, by the way, Jeff, you were 37 or 38 years? 38 plus years in Plainville Community Schools. he was a custodian. He ended at Teflon School. For how many years were you at Teflon? Oh, 38 plus years. All of his years at Teflon School. So. And here you are. You're back. He took great pride in his job, well done, and in keeping the building in tip-top shape and wonderful condition. In his free time, Jeff was always a talented photographer. His office was filled with beautiful photos that he took. Side note, he took and left at Teflon a beautiful black and white photo of a tiger from one of the Bronx Zoo trips. I didn't know that. He's an avid hunter, devoted husband, and father. I didn't know that either. Well, your wife's here with you, so it's a good sign you're a devoted husband. I'm sorry. I know that. Yes. So, my apologies. From fellow retiree and colleague Steve Bussell. All right, now here's where Steve says nice things about you. We just found out today that you're going to be joining us this evening for this celebration and retirement to kick off your next phase in life. So I didn't have much time to put a fitting speech together, so please bear with me. I probably didn't have to read that part, but why not? Yeah. You're leaving anyway, so if you get mad at me, you won't be. No, I'm just kidding. It's been almost a year since you retired, and I know you've already begun your next phase in life and hope everything is going as you had planned. Jeff worked for Plainville Schools for over 38 years, with all the years I've known him, at Teflon Elementary's day custodian. He took great pride in his school and learned everything he could about it to keep it running smoothly. He assisted with the moving of Teflon to Old Linden while Teflon was getting renovated, and he helped to get the new Teflon opened and ready for staff and students to enjoy. Jeff also had leadership qualities that are sometimes hard to find in this line of work. As long as I knew Jeff, he was an officer of the union. Whether it was as the president or the shop steward, Jeff always had the best interests of his brothers and sisters in mind while he was either representing or counseling them or coming to the table to negotiate the next contract. Jeff was a true professional who kept up to date and informed about his employees' rights. Jeff, it was a pleasure to have worked with you during those 18 years, and I hope you've been enjoying your well-deserved retirement. That's from Steve Bussell. And from me, just as a superintendent, we must often work with various union leadership to find resolutions to concerns of disputes and to negotiate contracts. Sometimes the leaders on both sides of the table can result in a small problem becoming a bigger one than it needs to be, or a problem that is easily addressed by both sides cooperating and being reasonable in their expectations of one another. Jeff's always been someone who was reasonable to discuss issues with and to work with in brokering a solution. So I appreciate every time there was an issue that we needed to talk about, we just sat down and talked about it, and we were able to resolve it pretty easily because you were a good leader. So I appreciate that. Thank you for all your years of service, and I hope you have many, many great years ahead. Congratulations.
All right. Like others here, I didn't prepare for this, which should scare some of you in the room. It's hard to believe that in the blink of an eye, 38 years can go by. It's been a very rewarding career, sometimes highs, sometimes lows, but we still made it through 38 years of it. One of the highest points in my service here at Plainville Schools came at one of the lowest points in my life. which is in 2016 when I lost my wife, Susan, who was a teacher in the system and a vice president of their union. It was a very rough time, but it's phenomenal the way this school system, the Board of Education, and the administration came together to support us. So I truly do appreciate that, and I thank you for this here. Thanks.
Our last retiree, who's going to be recognized tonight, Mr. Wallowitz, will speak about Mrs. Donna Mausch, who's here with her lovely daughter and husband, or lovely husband and daughter, whichever you want to say. Lovely family.
Good evening. So Donna retired as one of the literacy tutors at Linden. So Donna is originally from Berlin, but she and Ken chose to settle in Plainville and raise their daughter Rebecca in this community. Dr. Maureen Brummett hired Donna as a paraprofessional for Wheeler School in September of 2000. Donna worked under the supervision of some familiar PCS names, Mr. Garino, Mrs. Maureen Briggs, and classroom teachers Mrs. Hogan, Mrs. Fithy and Giantonio, and Mrs. Graham Douglas. Donna shifted to a new job position in 2002, becoming a literacy instructor in the STARS program, under the supervision of Jackie Coyne and later Michelle Steck. In October of 2010, the three amigos, Mrs. Greenbacker, Mrs. Frailer, and Mrs. LeGoik, determined there was a need for another literacy instructor at Linden Street School, and Donna was their choice. Donna has several hobbies, including gardening, photography, bird watching, camping, and she graciously shared her knowledge with colleagues and students. Donna has won numerous blue ribbons yearly for her prized vegetables, flowers, and photographs at the Berlin Fair. You could rely on Donna for any resource, activity, lesson plan from the date of hire to the present. Donna always celebrated the seasons and the holidays by wearing pins, earrings, sweaters, vests, and she decorated the tutor room. Donna supported Books Are Fun, PTO fundraisers, the Scholastic Book Fair, and purchased a yearbook annually. This year we bought one for you. So, okay, good. My wife is a literacy tutor, so I understand how critical Donna's role is. You only have so many minutes with each student and each group. The relationship you build with the students is key to getting them motivated to work hard on something they often find challenging. Every minute is important, and every student is precious, and closing the gap is so critical to their future success. Donna understood this, and it showed every day in her work with children. I am happy for Donna, and I wish I was able to work with her longer, but I wish you all the best in your retirement. Welcome.
Congratulations again to you all, and we have refreshments over here at the table. I'm sorry, once you're done. I didn't see you there.
I don't really want. I just wanted to say thank you to the Board of Ed, Plainville Community Schools, and the administrators, and I'm going to miss everyone in the staff. I was given an opportunity to be a special education paraprofessional and a literacy instructor at Wheeler and Linden Street School.
I love supporting the students and teaching them how to read from kindergarten to 5th grade. And I just wanted to say thank you for all these years. Thank you so much.
So we will enjoy some refreshments as our board chair mentioned. I just want to acknowledge there are others who could not be here tonight for a number of different reasons. So congratulations also to Carlene Blair, Karen Rodolowitz, Lori Bransifort, Janice Dinsmore, Marty Brennan, Mary D'Onofrio, Josh Zalaski, Cheryl Mashaud, and Susan Van Cleef. So I hope they all have a wonderful, long, healthy, and happy retirement. And we thank them for their many, many years of service to the schools as well. Please enjoy refreshments. We have 12 minutes. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to now reconvene the special business meeting of the Plainville Board of Education. Cassandra, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to begin with special presentations. Teacher of the Year. Is that all you?
It is.
Do I need to go up?
Not yet.
Okay.
Thank you. It's my pleasure and my honor to introduce this year's, well, for the coming year, Teacher of the Year. And I'll let the suspense build a little bit, but I want to thank Dave Lewandowski and the Teacher of the Year Committee. It's comprised of past Teachers of the Year from across the district who volunteer their time to go through a rigorous selection process for the next Teacher of the Year. This year was different, and I really liked it, and I think they did a great job of selecting a building Teacher of the Year, and we were able to go around and deliver balloons and have an exciting, fun day of delivering those balloons that were tangled pretty badly. Mr. Lewandowski and I had some fun, but it was great to have board members join us in honoring each Teacher of the Year from each of the schools. But there's one special Teacher of the Year for the district that had to then go through another process and was interviewed by the committee, and that Teacher of the Year was selected unanimously. And I'd like to congratulate Melanie Olmstead, health teacher from Middle School of Plainville. So I'm going to share a few words. I'll share a few words about Melanie, and then we'll bring her up for a gift. And if she'd like to say anything now, I know she's preparing her big speech, which will likely include a rap as well for convocation. I don't want to give anything away. So from Melanie's, come on up. So from Melanie is here with her husband Scott and her son Colt, so we welcome them as well. I heard you saying the pledge, you did a nice job. Well done. And we're glad they could be here with us tonight. We surprised Mrs. Olmstead at MSP today when we were there doing ice cream sundaes for the teachers with the bouquet, and we kind of surprised her in front of the entire faculty, basically. The kids had just left for an early dismissal. So it was quite an exciting afternoon, and we said, oh, by the way, can you be at the board meeting tonight? So I'm happy she could rally the family and be here. So I'm just going to share some words. She was nominated by Amy Tennant and widely supported by so many from across the MSP and across the district. I won't read the entire thing because it would rival one of my speeches, but I just want to tell you a few things about Melanie's leadership and the things she's done at MSP and beyond. She's helped to, along with Suzanne and Christina Corvella, spearhead the Veterans Day celebration each and every year, bringing together students with their veterans, celebrating their service in our community and our country. She's organized Sweats for Vets, a drive to support veterans, and donated to the VA. Chase the Chill, a drive to collect gloves, hats, mittens, scarves. She collaborated with Kids in the Middle in Roberta Brown to go into the community and hang scarves on trees, bus stops, and leave in the library for people in need. The list goes on, but she's EAP building representative. She's a member of the Wellness Committee. She's done things, hygiene drive and on behalf of the food pantry, team leader of 9 Unified Arts teachers. She's a team-trained mentor. She ran a huge ski club this past year, and it was not an easy time to run a ski club. She's run it for a few years now? 7. Yeah, 7, a few. It's like a few, and then some. Can't believe it's 7 years already. But they had 60 students at the ski club, and we had some interesting stories and adventures, and she navigated all those challenges so well. And calling me some evenings to ask for some advice, which I appreciate. The list goes on and on. Field trips, first aid CPR certified on her own time. She obtained her 6th-year degree in curriculum and instruction this past year in 2021 during the pandemic, so that wasn't easy. But I just want to share kind of a summary statement from Amy Tennant toward the bottom here. It's my pleasure to write to you on behalf of Melanie Olmstead for MSP Teacher of the Year. Being the longest tenured teacher in our building, I've had the great fortune to work with many outstanding teachers over my 33 years. With this nomination, I'd like to share with you what sets Melanie apart from all the other qualified candidates and why I believe Melanie represents all the qualities the Plainville Community Schools values in a candidate for Teacher of the Year. Melanie Olmstead's exceptional. While it's difficult to pinpoint the exact attributes that make someone exceptional, it seems to be some combination of knowledge, talent, commitment, energy, humor, you have all those, and enjoyment of all that she does. Melanie demonstrates all of these characteristics daily. She's an extremely dedicated and talented educator. She's self-directed, creative, organized, sensitive, and thoughtful. She's extremely well prepared in terms of skill development and pedagogical knowledge that translates into dynamic lessons for her students, in which they can quickly grasp and implement strategies that encourage creative and critical thinking. Melanie is consistently able to engage and create enthusiasm in her students in ways that are both educationally sound and personally motivating. One of her greatest strengths is her ability to change her lesson at any point to make any necessary accommodations for all her students to achieve success. And in closing, Melanie has a tireless drive that allows her to succeed in all of her undertakings. She's tremendously well-liked and respected by the middle school Plainville administrators, faculty, and staff, and students. Melanie prides herself on being a team player and is frequently sought after as a colleague and collaborator, not only within our school, but within the community at large. Melanie Olmstead is a natural leader and gifted teacher. She represents every quality and characteristics a school system in town would want as represented for Teacher of the Year. And she does write raps. She embeds them into her curriculum. You'll probably hear one at some point or another, so just get ready for that. Dave and I were working on the human beatbox earlier, so we can be her backup. We actually were at the middle school, so just get ready. So we'll have some fun, but you know, I just want to congratulate Melanie. I've gotten to know Melanie over the past several years, and just an outstanding person, educator, and couldn't be a better representative of Teacher of the Year. So I'm going to, if you'd like to come up, Mrs. Consalvo, and we'll give you your certificate and your packet, and also a gift. And we'll just get a picture, and then if you'd like to say anything. Is this your phone? Okay. You got it.
So they weren't kidding. At 2 o'clock today, I was pleasantly surprised. So normally I would have prepared a rap for you because I'm the rapping health teacher, but I did not have enough time because I had to get into mommy mode, and here I am. So I just want to say thank you to the Board of Ed's always been super supportive of the health curriculum and the health program. Thank goodness for me. That's why I have a job. And thank you to the community members and everybody. I've gotten a lot of nice feedback and emails and flowers from parents and kids. It's just such an amazing feeling. And of course, my little family over there, who's super excited. Colt told everybody at school like all week. So, well, he knew that I won the building level, but we just found out today. the reason I love to teach is because I love these kids. And when I tell Colt, you know, he's 6, he's like, Mom, what do you do for a living? And I'm like, I'm a health teacher. And he's like, what does that mean? And he's like, do you teach the kids about like eating broccoli and chicken nuggets? And I'm like, yes. Yeah, I know, broccoli. But the curriculum in health is challenging. We talk about a lot of heavy stuff, and I'm happy to be their go-to. Our door is like revolving. I mean, there's kids in and out constantly, and that's what I love about being there is the kids. And I feel like, you know, we're their only person sometimes, and I'm happy that I'm one of their people. I saw this, again, I didn't prepare anything, and if I had to rap, I'd probably have to censor it, even though I would make sure it's curriculum appropriate by the state of Connecticut. So at the convocation, when I rap, I will be sure that it's appropriate. So I saw this meme thingy that said, don't adapt to the energy in the room, influence the energy in the room. So that's what I try to go by. I don't want to adapt, because there's always people that are going to try to suck out your sparkle. And so every day I show up and I bring the sunshine and I bring the sparkle, and that's what I love doing for the kids. So thank you so much for this honor. I'm like beyond excited. I cried when they came into my room, even though I got it under control super quick, but Mr. LePage saw me. I was like, but I was super excited today. They got me the biggest bouquet of flowers, like this big. It was huge. I felt like Miss America, but I'm Miss Health Teacher America. So thank you, everybody, for your support. Thank you, community. Thank you, parents. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
So the next special presentation is for Garrett Millett, who's graduated and probably on his way to college to become the next music teacher here someday. I've had the great fortune to get to know Garrett well and to see him perform in the concerts and to conduct in the concerts. So maybe he'll see this at some point. We just honored him at a Rotary Scholarship banquet as well, and he received the Superintendent's Award, which is actually from previous superintendents, Dr. Minkowski and Dr. Ritchie, and they still contribute to that. But, he's a perfect representative of what that award symbolizes. He's been a wonderful liaison to the Board of Education. He's been here all the time, even if he has to leave for a rehearsal and then come back, or vice versa. So we really appreciate Garrett's service to the Board of Education. Look forward to having new members on the board as liaisons next year. So we do have a gift for him, and we'll make sure his family gets that. And thank you to Garrett, and I'm sure the board members share in that sentiment. So that's it for special recognitions tonight. Thank you.
Okay, next we have the approval of minutes. We have 5 sets of minutes this evening. If there are no objections or corrections to the minutes, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve items A through E, which includes the minutes of the May 9th regular business meeting of the board, minutes of the May 9th special meeting of the board, and also includes special board meetings on May 24th, May 31st, and June 6th. Are there any corrections or concerns? Do I have a motion to approve items A, B, C, D, and E?
Madam Chairman, I move we accept the approval of the minutes of May 9th, the special meeting, the regular meeting, and the special meetings on May 24th, 31st, and June 6th.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor, show of hands. The motion carries. If you would like to address the members of Plainville Board of Education, you are welcome to do so. You will have 3 minutes to voice the matter at hand or your area of concern. Does anyone wish to address the Plainville Board of Education? Does anyone wish to address the Plainville Board of Education? And finally, does anyone wish to address the Board of Education? So I have the council liaisons report that I will read a little bit of. Kathy Puglisi is in a meeting this evening, so she was not able to make it tonight. For her June 6th, 2022 council notes, the police union contract amendment. Over the last several months, town staff has met with the Plainville Police Union to negotiate contract language to reduce police overtime. In return, the town would make some increases to the police pension agreement. Proposed changes to the union contract would restrict when officers can take time off when it causes overtime, reduce the payment of overtime during training classes, and give some additional flexibility in assignments. According to the police chief, Chris Vangeli, these language changes are expected to result in yearly overtime being reduced by an estimated $200,000. The police pension is proposed to increase the benefit multiplier calculation from 2% to 2.25% for police officers until their normal retirement date. If an officer continues to work for the town beyond their normal retirement date, the multiplier will increase to 2.65%, and the total retirement benefits would be capped at 75% of the participant's annual earnings. The estimated annual pension benefit cost would increase by approximately $165,000. The changes in the pension benefits are expected to be helpful for recruiting certified officers and to retain existing officers for longer periods of time. There are 2 items under new business to consider: the side letter to the police union contract and the side letter to the police retirement plan. Revenue collector's suspense list. The revenue collector has submitted a proposed suspense list to the town council totaling $199,930.46. The list is prepared in accordance with the Connecticut State Statute Section 12-165, listing those taxes that the revenue collector believes to be uncollectible. These include motor vehicle taxes, personal property, real estate, and deceased persons who previously owned motor vehicles and/or personal property. The suspense list may still be collected and will be turned over to either a collection agency, the town attorney, or the town constables. To date, the revenue collector received payments totaling $52,000 from last year's suspense list. There is an item under new business regarding suspense list. Also, the White Oak redevelopment project discussion. On February 22nd, the town council authorized a contract with Teague & Bond to provide remediation oversight for the White Oak project for $143,883.90. There were 2 tasks listed in the proposal that were inadvertently not included in the total projected cost. These 2 services for rental equipment and laboratory costs. These 2 items total $27,092 because these services are being paid through a state grant. This was reviewed by the Department of Economic and Community Development, and they approved them being included under the project costs. There is an item under new business that would authorize the town manager to execute Amendment 1 to the Teague & Bond Agreement for Environmental Assessment Services of the former White Oak property dated April 12th, 2022. Fourth quarter transfers and additional appropriations. There are 2 items under new business that would schedule public hearings at the June 20th town council meeting on the recommended fourth quarter transfers and an additional appropriation for fiscal year 22. Details on the transfers and additional appropriation will be available next week from the Finance Department. The Teflon school chiller replacement. At the May 2nd meeting, the town council authorized spending $300,000 to replace the chiller at Teflon Elementary School using proceeds from the American Rescue Plan. School Facilities Director Steve Bussell is recommending that Train US Inc. be awarded the contract to replace the chiller for a cost of $263,588.69. This would be a turnkey contract that would provide all of the services related to the replacement except professional engineered stamped drawings and any fire life safety work that may arise. Steve Bussell is also proposing to recommend Train as a sole source for the work. This is because Train currently provides chiller services in most of the other school buildings, including the middle school, Linden, and the high school. By using Train, the town will gain economies of scale by using the same contractor for maintenance and repairs at all these schools. Train is also a U.S. company. The lead time for the equipment is 46 to 48 weeks, which will be in time for next year's cooling season, which generally begins in April or May. There is also an item under new business that would waive the bid process and award the Teflon school chiller replacement to Train Technologies, Rocky Hill, Connecticut, in the amount of $263,588.59. Roadways, Uconn truck, and is that pronounced correctly? Uconn. At the March 21st meeting, the town council authorized spending $450,000 to purchase a Uconn catch basin cleaner using proceeds from the American Rescue Plan. Town staff solicited quotes from 2 vendors for the purchase. Superintendent of Roadways, Mike Ferreira, is recommending that the town purchase a new MAC Sewer Equipment Company of America single axle 9-yard catch basin cleaner. From Chadwick Barrows of Whitman, Mass. The net cost for the vehicle is $469,310, which includes the trade-in of the current 1995 Uconn. Mike Ferreira is recommending the Chadwick Barrows vendor because it is a simpler machine to operate and that they have 2 Connecticut repair facilities. There is an item under new business that would waive the bid process and award the purchase of the roadways Uconn truck to Chadwick Barrows, Whitman, Mass, and the amount of $469,310.26, which includes a truck trade-in credit of $25,000 utilizing source well pricing. Number 7, the sale of fire engine number 1. For the last 2 years, the town has attempted to sell engine 1, which is a 1989 American LaFrance. The original asking price was $22,500. The last year, the town lowered the asking price to $12,000 to $15,000. The only offer that has been made to date was for $4,000. This offer was rejected. Last August, Matt Daskell recommended that he would recommend an offer in the $8,000 to $10,000 range. The fire department has received an offer of $7,500 for engine 1. There is an item under new business that would authorize the sale of the 1989 American LaFrance engine 1 to Justin Manafort in the amount of $7,500. Chief Tom Machini is here this evening, was there that evening to answer questions regarding the offer. State Representative Bill Pettit and State Senator Henry Martin will be holding their annual Retire Your Worn American Flags event between June 6th and June 10th. American flags are currently being collected at both Plainville Public Library and the Plainville Municipal until June 10th. Afterward, they will be properly retired. The mill rate discussion, there's an item under new business to set the mill rate for taxes that will be mailed on or about July 1st. Based on the state budget that was finalized last month, reducing the governor's proposed municipal aid to Plainville by $597,000. The calculated mill rate currently stands at 31.14 mils. This is a decrease of 3.42 mils or 10% from fiscal year 22. There is also an item under new business to set the mill rate. Summer meeting schedule. The town council has historically held only one regular meeting during the months of July, August, and September. Town staff is suggesting that regular meetings be held on July 19th, August 16th, and September 12th. Please note that September 12th is the second Monday of the month. There is an item under new business regarding these suggested dates. And,
Point of order, Madam Chair.
yes,
Is that, I mean, is that the entire minutes of the whole meeting or something?
this
Because-
is what was given to me.
I mean, because I just have to say, you know, at the Board of Education meeting, and I'm not saying this is anybody's fault, but we're at a Board of Education meeting, we've just spent 9 minutes reading what happened at the council meeting. I don't know.
I agree.
I don't know if that's not the right report or whatever, but it's just a little excessive. I mean, there might be 2 or 3 things on there that will be applicable to us, but, you know, for the most part, I think maybe, I hate to make you do it, Lori, but if you could skim it, that'd be great.
Yeah, I actually just finished the last page, so we're set. And, next is the superintendent's report.
Thank you. So I have several things to discuss with you tonight, all of importance. I'll start with a real highlight that I like to share. And it came in, I received it a little bit late, so you don't have a copy in your pack, but I wanted to hand out a copy to the board members now, and it'll go on our website. But this is something I usually share as part of my, next year as part of my presentations to the board when we're preparing for our budget season. But this was received, thanks to Onetta Lamont, school counseling instructional leader here at the high school, along with her colleagues and working with the current seniors from the class of 2022. So just some data, and I won't read through the entire thing. It's a 2-page document that highlights a number of areas of achievement for our seniors who just graduated on Friday night. We've had 78% of our students pursuing higher education, 9% attending a vocational or a trade program, 2% attending the military, 4% going into the workforce. We have 2.5% taking a gap year experience, and then a couple of students who are also, a couple of percent of students who are undecided, and then some students are still continuing on to finish. But all in all, we had 85% of our students who are going to college, attending a 4-year college, or 69%, I'm sorry, 85 students. 31% of those students going to a 2-year college. 73% of students going to an in-state school and 27% going out of state. This is an interesting data point. 71% of our seniors were accepted to their first choice college. So when they decided where they want to go after high school, 71%, almost 3/4 of our kids were accepted there. And then 66%, so just 5% less than that, decided to attend that first choice college, when they thought about it. Just looking at learning through service, that's our community service hours, and it was very much impacted by what was happening in our world, obviously with the pandemic, and the Board of Ed was kind enough to, to waive the requirement for the last couple of years, but it went back into effect this year. I was actually painting on the day of caring with Rotary with a couple of our seniors over at the Senior Center, so I was able to teach them how to paint. We had a lot of fun, and I got to know them, good kids. And a lot of kids were kind of scrambling to finish up their service hours, but 3,975 hours of community service were completed by 127 members of the class. 32 were still working on it in early June, so, as far as I know, they all completed their hours that were required. For scholarships, many of board members were at some of you were at the Night of Excellence, where $150,540 was awarded from local donors and scholarships in memory. A lot of those are in memory of people who have passed, and really special and meaningful scholarships. That's not including the many, many merit scholarships that our students earn through their colleges that they'll be attending. That's just for our local scholarship program, and we're proud of that, and we continue to grow that. The Uconn Early, these statistics are really powerful. So our Uconn Early College Experience programs, taking college courses Uconn courses in high school that convert to credits in just about in most colleges and universities. And then our AP program. So 63 members of our class, which is 40%, took one or more ECE, Early College Experience courses during their high school career. Collectively, they took 205 college-level courses through this program, and they earned 509 college credits. An additional 166 credits were added at the conclusion of the spring. So this data was, data was tallied. It'll be updated for next year when all the final credits were tabulated. So you'll hear even more, and the AP scores aren't in until July, so you'll get those as well in the fall. But 18 of the students earned 15 or more college credits through the ECE program, so that's an entire semester of college credits. The highest total of ECE credits earned by a single student was 31, which is over an entire year of college. It gets even better at the bottom. The AP program, 39% of the senior class took one or more AP, advanced placement, through College Board. Very rigorous courses. Took collectively 157 AP exams. 31 seniors received passing scores on 44 AP exams. That's 132 more college credits earned by the end of junior year. 55 of our seniors took a total of 92 AP exams in their senior year. AP scores are pending. They come in July. I know my son's waiting for his. A total of 276 college credits were attempted, so I'm sure many of those credits will be added on as well, and I'll give you that in the fall. So we have a number of partnership programs through Tunxis and Goodwin and CCSU, our Uconn credit courses, but CCSU allows our students to take, I believe it's up to four courses per year, junior and senior year, at CCSU, free of charge. We had 6 members of the class of 2022 take one or more college courses on the central CCSU campus and collectively earned 34 college credits. Our Goodwin University partnership that our central office team has been really doing a great job of expanding on. 6 members of the class of 22 are currently participating in our newest partnership with Goodwin University and working toward earning 18 college credits collectively. A lot of work by Tawana, Graham Douglas, and Dave Lewandowski on expanding those programs even further. And here are some final fun facts about our seniors. 20 members of the class of 2022 are starting their college careers with 22 or more college credits, starting college as sophomores. 7 of them earned over 30 college credits while at PHS. 2 of them earned over 45 college credits while at PHS. Dan Sozansky, who is our valedictorian, earned 49 college credits, and Maya Winkleman earned 46 college credits. This puts them as junior status entering college, so not too bad. Very proud of our kids, all the hard work, our teachers who are willing to teach those high-level classes and keep up with the rigorous curriculum. So it's a tribute to our district and to our kids. We're going to continue to expand that and build on that. We're really proud of that, and it's just begun, as they say. So just wanted to share that little highlight. So that's item A. And as I said, I'll update with the final AP results and ECE results in the fall, because there'll be more. And I can also, what I usually do is convert that into a dollar figure based on an average in-state college course. It's usually well over $1 million in college cost savings to the family, so we're proud of that. So going on to the MSP renovation application preparations update, there's a lot to be said about this, and I won't say a lot here. The Board of Ed is very well aware of it. There was a special meeting last Monday night at 6 o'clock at the municipal building, followed by the town council meeting, where they also heard about the middle school project from our representatives, our owner project manager, which is Construction Solutions Group. Between them and Antonazzi Associates, who's the architect, and myself, we shared an overview of the project at the council meeting after we met with the Board of Education for an hour, reviewed the final draft of the education specs, and the Board of Education had a chance to ask questions about the ed specs for the middle school renovation project. Those were developed based on dozens and dozens, probably 100 hours, hundreds of hours of work that went into really gleaning all the feedback from the staff, from the administration at the school, from myself and our team, and then really looking at what the needs of the building are and test fitting the needs to the building. We also went through a process of 2 applications to the state for a size variance, because the building is larger than the student population was when the building was built. So we're trying, instead of ripping parts of the building down, we were trying to get some approval to not, to use more space than the student body would allow. We're expecting 554 students is the maximum student population within the next 8 years that we have to use for that projection. So based on that, long story short, we submitted one application. There was a request for more information from the state Department of Administrative Services. We submitted a lot more information, and it came back. They declined, or they denied the appeal. However, they did allow for the space that we rent out to Oak Hill, as Oak Hill School has a separate space that they maintain, and also the district storage area downstairs, which is about 7,400 square feet. So that square footage was allowed to be removed. Long story short, the Board of Education did approve the education specs that really put everything that we would like in that building within the space that would be oversized by about 8,000 square feet. What that translates to, just to make everyone aware, is that being over in size, Plainville has a reimbursement rate on new renovation projects of 65.71%. So whatever the project allowable costs in the project are, you would get 65.71% back if you were building to the exact size you're allowed to build to. Because we're over by about 8,000 square feet, it would reduce the percent of the percent. So we'd get 92% of 65.71%. So that's 60.45%, if my memory is correct. So 60.45% rather than 65.71% would be the reimbursement rate on that project. So with that information being shared, the education specs were approved by the board. We went in and spoke with the council. The council has delayed. They needed time. It was a lot of information, so understandably so. They did not take action on sending the middle school project, setting up the referendum date and the other required steps. There's about, 15 steps that have to be done in order to apply for the project with the state by June 30th. In order to get it in for the next legislative session and the next building renovation cycle, we have to have it submitted by June 30th. The referendum vote on the project does not have to be done by June 30th. That would be done, the projected date's early November. But once we set the referendum date, we're no longer able to market or use district dollars to promote the project. So there's some timing semantics in there that we're working through with our representatives, the owner project manager. But basically, as it stands now, the challenge is that the costing of everything, the cost estimation process that was done based on the education specs, we were expecting a project of $35 million in previous years when we were talking about this project, but because of the inflated rates of everything, the project came in closer to $58–59 million, given everything that goes into that project, of which the town would be responsible for. I don't have this number committed to memory, but it's about $24 million and change. Based on that, 39.55% the town would be responsible for. The state would pick up to 60.45%. So that all being said, one little piece of information I will share is that we do have a very robust and active open choice program that we're very proud of, and that we have had for many, many years before it was even called open choice. That program, through that program, we have about 5% of our students, our student body in Plainville comes in. They make the choice to come to Plainville schools, and we welcome them here, and it's been a very successful program. When the project is, if the project is voted on to go through, and if it's completed, on top of the 60.45%, on the date that the Board of Education accepts the project as complete, our attendance from open choice at that time at the middle school adds a bonus on to the renovation reimbursement rate. So right now we're about 5% open choice students, so that would add 5% back into the reimbursement. So instead of 60.45, ultimately it would end up being about 65.45. So just less than 1/4% lower than what the reimbursement rate is. So there's a lot of details. I only shared a kind of a Cliff Notes summary of it, but A lot of work has gone into the preparation for this project. You know, we're very proud of that work. You know, people like Steve Bustle has been instrumental. You know, of course, Sam and our entire team, and just, you know, Amy Roberts and her staff. So, so we're at the point now where we're hoping that the council moves to take the necessary steps that we're required to do in order to submit our application by June 30th, and then hopefully leave the final decision up to the, you know, to the town to vote on when the referendum is set. And more steps ahead, but I just wanted to give everyone who's watching these exciting meetings every detail about the middle school. I know I have one student out there, Matthew. How you doing, my friend? Matthew Schnaffer. He watches all my meetings. His mom told me today. Great kid. So that's it for the middle school. I don't know if there's any questions before I move on to, I have Chief Angeli here who's going to share the next item with me.
Just, did I understand the council had a lot of information in there looking at it, but do we perceive that there's any, you know, that they're going to move ahead with it, or was there any concern on their part?
I can't speak to that, but there was concern. There was, you know, the same thing that I think, you know, Sam and I, when we first saw the cost estimate come in, a little bit of a, you know, sticker shock, if you will. But one thing I will add to that, you know, Becky, is that there are many projects that had their project, you know, approved a year or two ago, or a couple of years ago. Now they're trying to get the materials to do their projects when the prices were so much lower. So our neighbor, you know, I won't name names, but one of our neighbors had reduced their project by, I believe, $30 million in what they call value engineering. So value engineering means, you know, you had submitted one project. Because the prices have changed so much, you're no longer able to get the same thing for the same price, so you have to reduce your project scope. So if you were going to have 50 skylights, maybe you have 20 skylights. If you're going to have this flooring material, maybe you have this lesser quality flooring material, and you have to value engineer until you get to what was approved. So once the referendum is set and approved, that's the dollars you have to work with. So you know, we're in a better position than those districts because we're very hopeful that the prices will normalize, at least some. We feel like, you know, we're likely at a peak or pretty close to a peak, and by the time we start construction, and Sam, you can definitely add to this because you have background in this area.
Another thing Mr. Lee said to the council was that there's not a decision to do nothing. There'd be a decision to move forward with this project, or we have what Steve Bustle quantified at over $9 million of deferred maintenance on that building. So there's not do nothing, and if we take the deferred maintenance as we go approach, there's no reimbursement for that, so that would be paid 100%.
Correct.
Out of our budget.
Thank you, Sam. That's a great point. We've postponed a number of capital projects over the years and not done them, saying, well, we'll do them with a referendum when it becomes eligible. We're eligible as of 2022. Is it October? It's coming up. So we're at the 30-year mark it's when you can apply for Renovate Lake News. So many of the projects have been deferred and put off the Renovate Lake New project. So in addition to that, I just want to add one more piece that, in a compliment to Robert Lee, who's retired but still working. I spoke of his retirement, but he's still there all the time. So he's done a really good job, and this is something that I explained when we were talking about our budget, and I appreciate the board's trust in that process, but really trying to avoid the spikes, the ups and downs, like I call it the fiscal cliff, but they've done a good job at the town level, the council and the town manager of budgeting for debt management. So every year they've budgeted for a long time $4.4 million for debt management, and as projects come off the debt for the town, it opens up new opportunities to utilize those funds. So every year they've been budgeting for $4,400,000. I think that's the correct number. And, you know, at that council meeting, Mr. Lee showed a graph of the debt management over the next, 20 or so years. And the town's in a very good position with lots of debt coming off of that, off of debt management. So it would make room for the middle school project. and nobody wants to spend more than you have to spend. We're trying to do everything we can not to do that. But the project, there are many things within that school that are dire need. And we're going to talk about some of them today regarding school security in my next item. But so that's, I guess that is a summary of the middle school project. There's, you know, it's a whole night presentation, but that's an overview. I thought it would be good to just share where we are, and we're hopeful that it moves forward to having the application completed by June 30th, as we have planned and been working toward all year, and that that things normalize with prices, but that the referendum, that it goes to referendum, and that we're able to move forward with that project. It's really important. All the other schools have been renovated and are in really good shape. I think the oldest one now is it the high school? Besides MSP, it's either the high school or, oh, some board members have been there a long time. It's neither here nor there. Our schools are in great shape. The middle school is definitely in need. So Chief Angeli and I have been meeting since he came on board as the new chief, and he's been a tremendous ally and a partner in just dealing with different issues, and also being proactive in looking at our district security, our school district security. You know, obviously, sadly, you know, what happened in Uvalde is just it's just terrible, and we're saddened by so many things happening. And Chief Angeli, unfortunately, has you know, firsthand experience, you know, at Sandy Hook and in Newtown, and as a wealth of experience. He's been on a number of national networks lately, speaking about the tragedies that have been happening, and he's someone who has deep knowledge and who I respect, and his officers. I was speaking with some of them today, and they definitely share that respect. So we're glad you're in Plainville, and off to a good start. But we've met and talked. In our first meeting, we talked about school security and just kind of going through what we have in place. We have many, many layers of security and procedures and safety plans, and, you know, a number of things that the public doesn't know about, but also a number of things the public's very well aware of with our building security. However, there are things that we want to fortify and bolster and improve over the summer and over next year. So whenever a tragedy happens, it just brings it to the surface. It heightens the anxiety of everyone, the families, children who are aware of what happened. Some children were sheltered, you know, rightfully so, by their parents. We left that to the families to decide, and our staff and our community. So it's something that's it's of the highest importance. Our security and safety, you know, it's that Maslow's lowest level of needs. We have to make sure everyone feels safe and secure before they feel like they're ready to concentrate on learning. So we've done a good job of that, and I know we can do better. So, you know, currently, Chief and I have been talking about, you know, what's in place, and one of the things we talked about in our first meeting was, you know, Chief Angeli asked me if we have a district security director. Many districts have a person who's in charge of overseeing a number of responsibilities related to district and school security. You know, we've been working together on putting together a job description. You know, I'm asking the board for approval to move forward with pursuit of a district security director who would oversee all 5 schools' security, work with, you know, an assessment of our needs, oversee the training and the operations, and ensuring that all of our security systems are top notch. We have other things that you're going to learn about in a minute that are going into place as well. A lot of grant funded, and I expect more grants to come. You know, there's mention of bills being proposed that would bring a lot more dollars into school security. So, you know, I'm anticipating that, but we have, you know, for now, the next couple of years, I would recommend, you know, using ESSER funding and other grants that are available to, you know, to offset the costs of you know, what we need for school security. So, with that, Chief, I don't know if you wanted to come up to maybe to the podium and just share a bit of your experience and your thinking about this director position. And thank you for being here tonight on this beautiful sunny night.
Sure. Does this have to be turned on, the mic? It's all set? Okay. No, like Steve said, you know, when we first met, our very first meeting, that was one of the questions that I had asked, because it was on my to-do list to make sure that I visited all the schools, talked to whoever I needed to kind of determine the security of the schools and where they were currently at. Different school systems, do different things with their security. I think the push, if you look around 20 years ago, 25 years ago, you wouldn't even have an SRO. SRO started, school resource officer started. I was a school resource officer in 1999, so that was very early on in the programming of that. And I think the school system saw the value of having an officer right there in the schools, not necessarily as a safety or security measure, but also as a mentor, as a teacher, or as a resource to kind of bring the largest group of community members that are in one space for a day within our school system and the police department that is supposed to protect them. And then, school security director positions started becoming ubiquitous. The reason being is it's a huge job function that can't necessarily be done by 5, 6, or 7 people. I certainly have my expertise. I can lend it, but as a leader of an agency myself, with my own budget and my own 40 people to look after every single day, I can't focus enough of my time on school district security. Likewise, the superintendent or the other people that work in the superintendent's office or the Board of Ed or the teachers cannot devote the amount of time for all the different functions that a school security officer would do. And if you read the posting that we put together, the job posting, you'll see the variety of functions that that person can do. And that's everything from writing the state required reports for emergency management, looking at the plans that are in place, making sure the physical security of the building is correct, patrolling the different schools, having a staff underneath them if there is a security staff. That could also include traffic, so that would also include crossing guards. Looking at the various vendors that they have to deal with. And I'm sure that Sam can attest to how many different vendors in terms of the school security function, whether it's the people who do the locks, the people that are in charge of the alarm system, the people that are in charge of the security system in terms of the cameras, the access control for the doors, so on and so on and so on. And so to have one person who has the expertise in the background in this particular area can take on that responsibility of being that point person. So instead of having 5, 6, 7 cooks in the kitchen, you have one main person whose only job throughout the entire day and the entire year is focused on school security and safety. So that was sort of the vision for this position.
I did pass out a copy of a draft posting that, Chief was good enough to pull together, and we met over at the PD and discussed it, and it just shows some of the many responsibilities of that position. Currently, I do much of those things in cooperation with our school, principals and our security guards. And I'll be honest, when you're pulled in 50 directions, like you said, Chief, it's tough to do. It's tough to really focus all your attention on this, which is obviously an incredibly important area. We do a very good job with it, based on the resources we have. But just in talking with Chief, and when I go to the Region 3 DEMIS, Department of Emergency Management Homeland Security meetings, I'm one of I think 2 superintendents, and everyone else is a security director in the meeting. There's a table of about 35, 40 people from all the districts, and most of them have a security director, a head of security. So I'm a bit of an anomaly in that sense. But so it's something I support. It's something that like I said, we can, for at least the next couple of years, and we can assess where we go in the future. But we can utilize the precious grant funding that we have, and I believe there will be more coming. I think, Chief, you probably agree that that's likely from the federal level and state level. And then within this, the next layer that I will say that troubles me, and as we're approaching the end of the year, the middle school project, which I just spoke about, will not be completed for at least 2 years, probably closer to 3 years. We have, that's the one school that does not have a secure vestibule. We have an SRO in the building, but the SRO is not a security guard who sits by the front door. The SRO is doing the things that this board has learned about an SRO does, building relationships, making that, that friendly, community police officer relationships and supporting the kids and mentoring kids and out and about in the building, but not sitting by the front door checking badges and making sure we're, so as part, once we have a director on board, I would be looking to also add a security guard to man the front doors at the middle school. That's something I feel strongly about. We had planned it originally, and then we ended up going with, we had the SRO, but it still leaves a vulnerability that I don't feel comfortable with. So I'd like to add that going forward. We've done a good job with using our school staff to screen using the phone system where you see who's buzzing in, but it's not, they're in the office, and it's a vulnerability point. So I guess enough said about that, but it's something that I would appreciate being able to move forward on, and I'm just trying to see if, okay. All right. I think that's all I have for school security other than Mutual Link. And I'm going to turn it over to Sam so you can stop hearing from me after I just kind of lead off on this. And this is something Chief was involved in as well. We brought the representatives from Mutual Link in. Mutual Link is, you've heard about this company before because I shared it with you in the past, but Mutual Link's an interoperability, multimedia interoperability, operability and interoperability system. Basically, it came about after 9/11. Many different police and emergency response agencies were trying to coordinate response to 9/11, and they weren't able to communicate with one another on different channels, different radios, different systems, and there was no way of getting them all on the same page. They did the best they could with what they had, but from my understanding and meeting with the company, that's when they came to be, and really bridging any communication systems in creating an incident where everyone can communicate with one another and have an incident command through that system. We learned about some new technology with the patrol cars, where they were able to have a much better understanding of what's happening at an incident. We're looking at options for having panic buttons that are tied into the school phones instead of, we had some challenges with using cell phones for a number of contractual reasons that kind of got in the way. But we're looking at different opportunities with Mutual Link. We did receive a grant from the state related to security for multimedia operability and interoperability systems. And I'll have Sam go through the slideshow in a second about Mutual Link. But we met with the company in order to make it work. The state changed they changed what the initial understanding was, that it would be 100% reimbursable. So we're reimbursed 65% of a $438,000 security grant for these systems. So that leaves about $138,000 that we're still responsible to spend first, and then the state will allow us to have the extra $288,000 that makes up to $438,000 to pay for all these interoperability systems and related technology. So we have a lot of installed already from the first iteration of, they did a lot of the work on the assumption that the state grant would come through, and it changed. So we're trying to work through those challenges. But Sam, do you want to just share quickly, and then we'll.
Yeah, I'm not sure I can do the slides justice. These are the slides that Mutual Link plans to come to the June 20th council meeting and present at that meeting. The purpose of presenting to the council is because it's over the bid limit, so the council needs to approve it directly. And Mutual Link, we'll make the case that Mutual Link is the sole provider. As far as we know, they're the only ones who do this interoperability, or nobody else does it the way they do it. We do have the slides, but I don't know that we need to go through them in detail here, mostly because they're more detailed than we can really talk to. I just want to add to Steve, you did a very nice job laying it out. Maybe just add that this is a different security grant. Each year they've offered security grants. This is the first time they've offered a security grant that they're calling interoperability. So the whole purpose of this security grant is for the police to work well with the schools and fire And even outside of Plainville, beyond the borders of Plainville, any other town that uses MutualLink, and many of our neighboring towns do, can also become part of what they call an event when something happens. It harnesses all of our cameras, all of our radios.
And they don't even have to have it, Sam, just to clarify. If we have MutualLink, if Farmington and Bristol don't have it, we can still invite them into an event. So as long as we have it, and we were able to get it for free through a grant that went out for the community colleges, because Plainville's close enough to Tungus, so that's how it was originally free for 9 years to the police department. But then the school side, you know, we're waiting for that grant to come through. It came through, it's a bit modified than what we expected. You know, in a nutshell, one of the greatest features of it is that it has features that can lock down the building really quickly in the event of an event being triggered in the school. It can lock down hallways and you know, main areas to the building. It sends the police a very detailed, using the camera systems in the school and the location of where the event happened, very detailed information about how to respond to that event. And it cuts down precious time that's needed in order to respond to a potential event. We hope we never have one, but we want to be ready for anything that could potentially happen. So, and I guess to summarize it, it's one of the main features, and it does the same thing for the police department, so they know what they're coming into and they have a better sense of what the situation is.
Just one thing to add, just to help picture what it does. In the demonstration, they showed us that a cell phone, like a police officer's cell phone or a teacher, anybody's cell phone, could become a camera that's part of the event. You could duct tape or tape a phone up, and then the images that phone's capturing could become part of what everybody sees who's responding to an issue.
Right. There's a number of features that it would take more time than we have to go into, but ultimately, that's what the town council is being asked to approve of us spending the $138,000 in order to get to $288,000 to have a fully functioning operating system where we'll have everyone trained to the level they need to be trained. Everyone will have, there'll be different levels of training. Another example of why a district security director would be an important position to oversee all of that. Chief, anything else you'd like to add, or do we cover all the main points?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fully on board with this program. I've seen a lot of them. A lot of them aren't worth spending $5 on, let alone this amount of money. But they really gave us what we're paying for. They've been very, very good to us. For what it does, it's the best operating system in the country, in the globe. It's used by governments, used by colleges. We would be the very first high school or school system, municipal school system in the entire state that is using it. So we really blaze a trail, which is something I always like to do. It would be a great, great benefit, especially with interoperability. The fact that it doesn't matter what rating you have, what system you have, what cell phone you have, any teacher that calls, say the teacher doesn't have the system on their phone, they call 911. They can actually tap that phone. That teacher can hold up her phone and show exactly what they're talking about. You can use anybody's cell phone as an actual camera at that point. Plus the static cameras in the school will automatically, be sent to the PD based on, like you said, that geolocation of that particular incident. So by the time, even though it's a quick response from the PD, by the time we even get around, we're going to know what's going on. Plus, logistically, it keeps track of all the information. Timing, when people get there. As you know from the other events, timing and communication is a big deal in these types of incidents. So, I'm fully on board with getting this equipment up and running, even though we already had it, sort of.
Yeah, we have a lot of it, and they've installed quite a bit of it, so there's going to be some updates and upgrades based on our latest discussions with the new grant cycle, but we think it'll really supplement and augment our security and our readiness for any situation. Thanks for being here, Chief, and if you don't want to stay, that's totally up to you, but I know you've already probably had a long day, so, stay as long as you want,
I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Just a question, Steve.
Yeah.
So I guess, you know, we already have this system, but this is for just the schools. So is that amount of money just for the school system? Or does it cover more of the town? Yeah, I guess that's what I'm trying to absorb, how the program works. Like, so do you get mutual link for a space of land or space of, like, is it for?
It's for,
It's mostly for interoperability with the school system, but it can be used as a regular emergency management tool for any type of event.
Right.
So if we have a parade or the school has a huge, maybe tournament where you're gonna have security guards working and school personnel coming in and out, you can use that for any type of a large event that you wanna use the incident command system for.
so you can open an event proactively in preparation for something like that.
A school type of
Okay,
it could be a hurricane, it could be any type of emergency.
right.
You can use that program.
And because I was trying to, gauge in my head if it covered a certain, like, square footage of, what you were purchasing it for,
Well, it does
But-
geofence the schools. Kevin already did, technology guys here, as you know, are second to none, but
Yep.
they've already geofenced our entire schools, so you can look on a map and see exactly
Yeah.
what school areas are covered. So like with the panic button, if you're within that area and you press the panic button, it'll tell where you are within that area.
This is that same, it's all coming back to me now. This is what we've had in the past, right, with the.
A couple of years ago,
Yeah.
it's what I shared with the board, and then this is kind of phase 2, and we're gonna, complete it now.
Steve, I had a question. If I can.
Yeah.
I was just curious what we were looking at for a timeline with security, because with the middle school renovation coming in, this new director of security and security programs, it just seems like it would be great to have the director of security at the table, and things in
Correct.
place going forward.
Honestly,
with
I'd
the new build.
like to post the security director as soon as I can. I brought it up as something just, I don't know if it's an item that needs formal approval. It's not a new business, I just noticed, but, and this is a special meeting because we moved the date, so we can't add items to the agenda. But, if it's something that, unless there's opposition to it, I could move forward and hire it as a position like I would hire a new,
It's not an administrative.
no, it's not an administrator, so it would be like hiring a non-bargaining member. And it's something we'd use grant funds to support for at least a couple of years, 2 to 3 years, and then see what comes down the road from the federal grant system, which I believe will supplement as well. So,
Just one more thing
But
on
it's
these.
a good point.
A good question, Becky, and the other, it's 5 years, and they were very good to us. They're starting the 5-year clock over, so we have 5 years moving forward.
thanks, Chief.
I just had a question for him.
Oh, Chief, you want one more
Chief,
question before?
Sorry, I just had one
Sorry.
question.
I thought-
I was just asking, I just wanted to ask, so say if we were to have, state cheerleading championships here, or we were to have, the Balloon Fest, things like that, is that also, are those also locations where this can be used?
Yeah, so you have end users, so there are terminals at certain points in town. But my officers can access that because they're each going to have the users. So they can access that through whatever, their tablets, their laptops, their desktops, their phones. So if I wanted to use it, it would be a perfect opportunity for me to use, that mutual link to really, consider that event, an incident command type of event, where I would set up a specific structure of how to run that event, personnel that are assigned, keeping track of security, traffic, keeping in communication with the different people that are there. So that would be a perfect way to use it. And like anything else, the more you use it, the better you become at it. So if when something really bad does happen, if it does, then you're so much better off because you know how to have the ins and outs of the system, because it can be very complicated. There's going to be it's definitely a learning curve.
Is this something that, like everyone in town could access, or? No, okay. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
So the next item is something that came up because I've had a number of our district teachers who have young children who have students who are coming of age for pre-K, who would love to have their children attend Plainville schools. Some of them, you know, and it wasn't said in a way like if this doesn't happen, I'm leaving, but, you know, some of them want to be in the town where their children are and they have opportunities, you know, to teach in other towns that have openings and that have pre-K, you know, within the schools or in programs. So I think we have 5 or 6 individuals who have requested that their child attend Plainville pre-K because they know the quality of our programs and how excellent they are. So I thought I would bring it before the board. I mentioned it to our to our board chair, Consalvo, as a consideration. Typically, so there's some factors that go into it. Typically, because pre-K in Plainville is counted as one of our grades, and that counts toward our ECS reimbursement, which is something I've shared with the board because we're not charging, but these students would be coming from out of town. Obviously, if they're in town, they can attend our pre-K, and we do have teachers with children in the program who live in town. But so my recommendation for consideration would be, you know, a modified tuition for out of town. We haven't received official word from the state yet, but our understanding is that because they wouldn't be Plainville students, charging them tuition would not violate any requirements of counting pre-K as a grade. So, you know, there are other towns that do this, right next door, and other towns that I'm familiar with that, you know, do it for different amounts of funding. So, you know, there would be caveats that it would be based on space availability. We wouldn't want to have to open up another classroom and hire another teacher and paraprofessional to run another classroom. It would be cost prohibitive. But if we have 8 pre-K classrooms that we're planning for currently, and that we have staff for. So if we had classrooms with, you know, 11 or 12 or 13 kids, and, you know, we're looking to have up to 15 in pre-K. So if we had, you know, 6 or 8 spaces, and then we had teachers apply to have their child attend and pay a modified tuition as an added benefit to working in Plainville, we thought that might be a nice thing to do. It's something for the board to consider. I don't know if there's any questions about it. We talked about maybe, you know, 50% of tuition or something, you know, something to the effect of $500 or $600 a month. You know, I know I paid almost $1,000 a month for my daughter to go to pre-K at the YMCA in Southington. So, you know, it would still be a value, but it would still bring in some revenue also to support those programs. So I kind of see it as a win-win, but, you know, finding that right amount, we could get back to you on that. But I know I've had a few ask in the past, and I've told them no, and I've had several ask me this year, and just if we would consider it. So I wanted to bring it to the Board of Ed for your consideration.
Ask a question?
Yes, Mrs. Clark.
My concern is the classroom size for the pre-K and the kindergarten and first grade. I want to just make sure that those classroom sizes are smaller, you know what I mean, that they're more spread out. I know that that was the way things are determined, you know, when we went through that last time, that those grades, you know, a couple of them had like 19, not the preschool, but the kindergarten had like 19, and one of them I think had 20. So I just wanted to make sure that if you're adding the students, you know, that it's not going to, you know, take away from.
Right. It would be for pre-K only, just to make that distinction clear. Any other grade would be full tuition. You know, so we charge a full tuition for if a student wanted their child to attend high school here. You know, it would be the full tuition, which I don't. We haven't run the numbers this year, but it's $12,000 or so, maybe more.
I just, like I said, that's my only 2 cents.
Absolutely. We would only allow that enrollment if
it
was within the size limits for that grade. But thank you. Good point.
Madam Chair? I just wanted to say I think we should strongly consider that, and with a significant modified tuition to keep teachers here in Plainville and help foster that, you know, family work balance, so they're not going to other towns. And
Word about it, so that's why we put it on the agenda, just to have people's ideas. So I do agree with you. I think that it would help keep our staff here, and it does show work-life balance. And if they want to, I like the fact that we're not going to just be adding numbers. We're just, if we have the numbers to fit in there, then we will accept. If we don't, I mean, we have, what, how many do we accept per year?
120 would be the max for our 8 pre-K classrooms.
So it's not like we're increasing it to 140. It's 120, and the 120 is what it is. And should our teachers, you know, decide they want them to come to kindergarten here, well, then they have to pay regular tuition, as would anybody else. So,
And they would go as a space available, so that would not necessarily be at the school where the teacher is teaching. It would be convenient for them to do that, but if there was not, yeah, I think this is an excellent fringe benefit. And a good benefit. Good, thank you.
I think that's what we were talking too about, was, do we need to run this by, would it be considered a fringe benefit by the union, or do we need to approach the union about this?
We're in the process of beginning, we have a meeting set up on tentatively, that, I don't know if Joan sent an invite, but we're looking to set up a negotiation opening meeting for July 5th with the EAP.
Okay.
The timeline of that negotiation and allowing our teachers who are currently asking for this opportunity may not align. We have to have the contract settled by October 2nd, I believe it is, in order, before it goes to arbitration with the EAP. So we have basically from, I think it starts July 20th until October 2nd is our window in order to negotiate the contract. So because of that, and it's certainly something that, you know, we can mention as something that we provided for a number of the membership for the EAP, but I saw it as something that we should consider doing and informing our staff about outside of the contract, and hopefully they'll understand as something that, you know, we can perhaps codify in the contract, you know, as something that we allowed, but hopefully take care of it in advance so they can plan. It wouldn't be a benefit for enough of the members, but, you know, it may be 4 or 5 a year, or maybe fewer, or maybe more some years, but, so that's a good point, and we talked about that, but I think if we could do it outside of the contractual negotiations as just as a goodwill gesture of something that we want to, you know, and it also builds pride in Plainville. We have teachers who, you know, so that their colleagues will be teaching their fellow colleagues' children. So, you know, if my friend or colleague's children in my class, I'm gonna do my very best, and they already do. But you know, it makes everybody better. I think, you know, when you're always doing your best for every child, but it just makes everybody better, I think. And it would be good for families and for the district. So I can draft something up and share it with the board, but if you approve it in concept, maybe we could work out the finer details over the next week. I could send you kind of a proposal with some of the language and maybe a recommended fee of, you know, perhaps $500 a month or something, whatever we decide would be fair. Okay?
Sounds good.
All right, the last item up for bid. Sorry, that's I don't know what show that was, but it's been a long night, and I appreciate you hanging in there. There's a lot to talk about, and you don't have to hear from me for another 3 months. Well, except in emails. 2 months. All right, so discussion of potential realized savings. So, you know, this is Sam loves June, because there's a lot to consider, lots of moving parts, and it seems like it would be easy to project where we're going to come out with our spending compared to our budget, and to determine if we have realized savings. The past couple of years, we knew we'd have a lot of realized savings because of the COVID challenges and, you know, unfortunate opportunities with not spending as much money because we had a number of factors that resulted in that. And we gave, you know, $1.8 million back to the town the last couple of years. Because of that, we will not have that kind of savings or even close this year. But if we do have realized savings, in the past, the board has approved of pre-purchasing certain items that we know we're going to have to pay for, and that would be beneficial to use some realized savings from our budget, from not spending on one thing and pre-purchasing on a few items. Dan, I don't know if you have that slide. Okay. So essentially, it comes down to fuel and, oh, it's right behind that, yep. Dime oil, bus fuel. We're anticipating, obviously, the prices in fuel have gone up. We did lock in, thanks to Sam and Rob Buden, who locked in at a more favorable point than it is now, for sure. But still, it's more than it was, 89,000. Turf of 50,000, that would be to continue our turf replacement fund that, we're trying to grow, because as it's in great shape now, as you know, and we've taken good care of it, but these are... No, the turf fund has, I forget what the balance was. You shared that in the May report.
So I think it was 92, and then I think 92 was before we put.
It was 100, it was over 100, it was like
So
about
it's 92 plus
150,000.
50, so it's almost 150,000.
142,000 maybe. And then legal fees, we spend quite a bit on legal fees for all the contract negotiations and other, personnel matters and other issues we need legal consult for. So if we have realized savings, we would just be looking to apply some of them, or all of them, or a portion of them, if we don't have enough to cover all of this, for these potential realized savings uses, as we've done in the past several years. I think we've done this for many years now.
Yeah, the order I would suggest, this year, we really are coming in close to our budget, and, we're not going to end the year with zero. We always give back something to the town, in part because there's an audit to go through, and so we don't bring it down to zero. But the order I would recommend would be first to do the dime oil to the extent we could, because prepaying that gets us a discount. And then the second, I would do legal fees,
right,
and then the third, I would do set aside money for the turf fund.
If there's enough, yeah. So that's under new business, so it's something for your consideration.
So at this moment, are you prepared to make any kind of projection of where you think we're ending up? Or are you looking, saying, yeah, maybe we're gonna have $180,000?
No, I'm not looking to say maybe we're gonna have $180,000. When we rolled it up, we were very close to zero.
Okay.
We were a little in the red, but I know that when we close out purchase orders at the end of the year,
It'll
that
come
brings
back.
us back into, so we were actually a little in the red when we
Gotcha.
rolled up the first time.
For which one?
For the overall budget.
Oh, the overall, okay.
Yeah. So we don't know if there'll be realized savings, but it's kind of a hypothetical. If we have realized savings, we'd be looking to do some pre-purchasing of bus fuel, and then legal, and then if there's any left over, consider putting money in the turf fund to continue to build that up.
And the motion we're going to discuss would also assume those priorities.
Correct. Yeah, they're not in the right order on that table, I'm sorry. It's oil, then legal, then turf.
So doing this would help prevent fiscal cliff?
Doing this will help to offset some of the budget expenses for next year. Sam, you can explain it better than I can.
I think the first thing I would say is this is following a pattern that's been long established even before I started here. And so if we don't do this, then it changes the timing of some of these payments. So
Correct.
It's good to just continue this pattern. If we can do this, we would like to do it to level the budgets in each year between the 2 years. And we don't have a motion prepared for you. It's on, you'll see it on your agenda under new business, but what we'll do is put this slide back up and just ask one of you to make a motion based on the information that has been provided.
Okay.
And that concludes my report.
Wow, that was long.
It was. Lots to talk about tonight.
Okay, so let's move. I know, that's true. We all
I
are.
could keep going. You know me. I know.
So, Garrett, they're graduated, so we're not going to do any
Nope.
student report. Facilities and Finance Subcommittee report.
There's no report. There's not been a Facilities and Finance Subcommittee meeting since our last board meeting.
Okay. Policy Subcommittee report?
There's no real report. We did meet in April, but you'll notice that I think the policies are on for approval and
Approval,
under
right.
unfinished business.
Okay. Curriculum Subcommittee?
There is no report.
Thank you. PAC, high school?
The PAC last met on May 18th. At that time, they had a treasurer's balance of $4,418.21. They did have, within that figure, about $950 they had collected to that date for the Adopt a Senior, and also $220 for lawn signs. They also had designed, and they did distribute at the Super Senior Banquet, a new Super Senior pin that they had designed this year. The PAC did award during Night of Excellence 3 $500 scholarships that went to Tessa Naparsek, Christopher Vaughn, and Kimberly Exikes. All got $500 scholarships. The officers are going to be the same, with the exception they have a new vice president, which is going to be Christine Fagan. And their next meeting is going to be September 14th, 2022.
Great, thank you. And I'm sorry, you said, what is Christine doing?
Pardon?
Christine, you said she's going to be the new...
Vice president.
Oh, nice, okay. Teflon PTO?
Yes, so they did not have a meeting, but I did get some notes of some things they've done. They're actually working out a meeting date for June. It will take place after school is out, though. They had their Apex Fun Run, and the profit from the Apex Fun Run was $8,600 to the Teflon PTO.
That's awesome.
So I suspect the Apex Fun Run is here to stay. They had a wonderful ice cream social with a raffle outside. It was nice to see everybody and see everybody together. And the raffle actually brought in approximately $550, so that they kind of broke even with that. So it wasn't a cost, which is always nice. They were able to buy all 92 Teflon staff members end of the year gifts. They were little summer gifts, towels with floating cups. And they also provided all of the crossing guards and bus drivers with Starbucks gift cards. And like I said, they will be meeting again in June, and I just want to say a thank you to this year's PTO. They did an amazing job. They came in September carrying over $4,000 to start this year with, and they will be starting this September with $12,000 to start, so.
That's great, wonderful.
Very good.
Thank you. Linden Street School?
Yes, so, I'm sorry, I have my report here. I can't read my email. The other side. So the Linden Scholarship this year was awarded after hard deliberation to Avery Palma in the amount of $500. That's a graduating senior from PHS who attended Linden School, and wishing her high success in her post-high school career. Monday evening, the PTO presented the 5th grade ceremony and recognized Brenda Livingston for her help and support throughout the year. She was presented with a bouquet of flowers, and was given nice words by the president of our PTO, Nicole Mashad. The PTO is welcoming back to stage, and handed out gifts for each student that's going to go out to the step up to MSP. Thank you. They're going to be having their field day on Thursday, and the PTO is going to be providing ice pops for the students, along with the inflatable slide. And any members can stop by to assist and hand out ice pops. They've been working really hard with Mr. Wolowitz this year. They're going to try next year not to have any of the meetings be on the half-day early release days. So over the summer, the planning for when to move forward with their schedule. Michelle's email and numbers out there, so anybody, they're looking for volunteers. And they do have new positions, and they're gonna be having, the PTO will be, in the fall at the September and October meetings to, hire and have people shadow for, the new positions that are available, but not hire, but, electing new officials. Sorry about that choppy report, but.
You're fine.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. And if we can move on to the middle school?
I actually have report.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Nope, I have report for, Rachel on behalf of, Madam Chair, on behalf of Wheeler, if you'd like.
Sure. Did you want to do it after Crystal, or?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead, Crystal.
Well, the MSP PTC has been very busy. They're excited to have the 8th grade graduation ceremony tomorrow morning, and then the tropical themed 8th grade dance on Thursday night. They've got an ice cream truck visit for each grade this week. They had a fun paint night a few weeks back, thanks to Mrs. Meehan. And the PTC is providing, it looks funny, class of 2026 t-shirts for each 8th grader. So they're just trying to wrap up everything, and then they'll look forward to September after all this is done.
Great. Okay, Cassandra, sorry.
So I'm giving a report on behalf of Rachel Buchanan, who's not here this evening, for Wheeler Elementary School. The Wheeler 5th graders had a wonderful DARE graduation, and yesterday the 5th grade picnic, funded by the PTO, was a huge success. Both kids and parents had a blast at the Farmington Club swimming and playing various recreational games. We had parents attending our end of the year kindergarten celebration behind Wheeler School that ended with a picnic lunch. All had a great time, and they're looking forward to field day this Thursday, as well as the 5th grade promotion ceremony this Thursday at 5 p.m.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Becky, do you have a report for the CREC Council?
I do not. The CREC Council meeting was changed to on a virtual meeting, but I wasn't able to attend.
Okay.
The next meeting is tomorrow.
And I don't have a report this evening. So we'll move on to unfinished business. Items A through G policies. We have a number of policies this evening, and these policies are in their second reading. So we will first remove the policies from postponement and then approve the policies as presented. If there are no objections, I will ask for a motion to remove the aforementioned policies, items A through G, from postponement.
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that motion carries. And now, do I have a motion to approve the aforementioned policies, items A through G, as presented?
I move the adoption of policies noted on the agenda as items A through G under unfinished business for approval.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion carries. We can move over to new business. Does anyone have anything they'd like to speak about for the board open forum? Anyone? I'll go first. I just wanted to talk about the graduation, and it was a great night. The graduates did an amazing job, and it was just absolutely beautiful. So I just want to wish them all again congratulations, and to their families. And I'm sorry you couldn't be there, but it was an awesome night. It was a great night. So, anybody else?
Yep.
Go ahead.
One thing, and I'm going to go back to the superintendent's report a little bit. There's actually a couple things. The first thing when we were talking about the Director of Safety and Security, I wonder, and this is just like food for thought, after a few years, if we couldn't partner, you know, if we bring somebody in and then you partner with another district that's similar in size, because after a period of time, I would think you could do that. In the beginning, I wouldn't think so, but it just seems like it kind of lends itself to being something that could be a shared type of a position, you know, because it's such an expertise. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe the person, you know, things will change so rapidly that we need a person consistently, but it's just a thought. The second thing was, when you were talking about the AP and Uconn early experiences and all the additional college credits, when we look at that data, can we also see how it's broken down across racial lines? And so we can kind of identify, do we have, you know, who's participating, who's passing, you know, like that a little bit. So,
Absolutely, yeah, we received that from, we
Right.
have all of that data, and Dave, you could speak to that, because I know you.
Yeah, that's absolutely how we're breaking down data now, and some of our initiatives moving forward are opening up those rigorous courses for more of our subgroups of students, so yes, absolutely.
That's awesome, because I think we'd want to see that and just, you know, be able to identify who's participating and that kind of thing, so that would be great.
Yeah.
And then the third thing is, is there anything that the board should be doing in order to make sure that the council, you know, focus, I'm not going to say they're not going to focus on, but is there anything the board can do to encourage the council to make sure that this referendum date gets set, you know, and that we get things taken care of before June 30th?
Well, if you're able to be at the June 20th meeting, that would be important. I know there's a lot, and you've put a lot of time in, and it's a volunteer position, and I appreciate all that you do, but I think if you can be there, I plan to be there on the 20th, and
Because that's the only scheduled meeting between.
that's it. There's only,
then and
the application
the
has
end
to
of
be
the
in,
month. So,
yeah.
you know, that's a critical meeting.
So I'll be there. There will probably be more questions. Sam, did you want to just share anything
No,
else?
just as always, any resident can write into the council and voice
That's
their
what I was gonna
opinion.
say.
Right.
And this is an important decision.
Thank you.
Madam Chair. I just have a question. Will the parents be notified of that council meeting? Outside of the Board of Ed? Like, will that be on a, I think that would be helpful to be on a newsletter, because it definitely impacts a lot of parents.
Yes,
Thank you.
it's a great idea. I will get that done, I promise. Thank you. Get that sent.
Maybe a separate email with just that subject?
Just that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, it's all coming home now. I'll tweet it out.
3 to 4 bullet points.
I was just looking at I was looking to see the dates of the prior building projects when we were talking about it earlier. And in the slide we used for the board presentation earlier, Rebecca's pictures as a supporter for the Wheeler project to make sure that got passed.
We can also do parents of Plainville. Parents of Plainville, I know. Okay. Does anyone else have anything they'd like to speak
Can I
about?
just take a second? So I just want to thank, being at the end of another year, another kind of crazy year where it was kind of normal, but it really wasn't normal for many staff members and students. I just want to say a huge thank you to administrators, teachers, even students and parents just for another year. It wasn't easy, but we did it. We're almost there. And so just a big thank you to everyone for their hard work this year.
Thank you. Anyone else? Cassandra?
I also echo those thoughts too, and I'm thankful that, everybody is here at this time and is working together. And I think it's come to fruition, and I think the board has grown over the past months. And I'm also thankful that, you know, we have a great community and a great school to be helping to lead, and good working, you know, working together. And also thankful for everybody, you know, getting through this school year has been messy, but everybody did well. On a different note, I was also thinking of the MSP project, and with the extra room that you're asking for, just out loud thinking to myself about some type of maybe memorial wall or donation, some type of philanthropy type of thing to bring in, you know, so much for a brick or so much for a picture, you know, to help offset. It may not take that much money to, you know, in donations, or even like children getting their artwork up or something, you know, being creative to try to get some money to also show artwork or show different things, but maybe we can somehow help to offset costs a little bit. Even, you know, if you get a few $1,000s, that's a few $1,000s less that we have to get from the taxpayers. And also helps the community kind of pull together too. Just a thought.
Yeah, I was going to ask a question kind of like that too. We said something about the students in that program, and we get an offset for each student. Is that the middle school? Remember the
Open choice.
Open choice. So do we know if there's going to be an increase in students for next year, or do we know if there's?
We've been fairly steady at around 5% of our students in Plainville and at the middle school who come to us through the open choice program from Hartford.
Are we only allowed to take so many? Like, do we have restrictions on how many we can take?
We typically open more seats than are utilized. So every year we assess what our class sizes are and how many spaces we have, because we don't want to overload class sizes, as you know.
Right.
Just as we talked about with pre-K, you know, for any grade, we don't want to open up too many seats that we have crowded classes and create another issue.
Right.
So, but typically we open more seats than are acted upon and taken and filled through the open choice program. There's a series of stages. Round 3 right now, right? I think there's what, 5 or 6? There's quite a few where students may decide to go to another open choice town.
I see.
So, you know, ultimately, you know, we open the number of seats, and then we hope to fill all those seats because that's the space we have available. But we've been pretty steady, is I guess the answer to your question, right around 5%. We're one of the highest choice participation districts in the region.
Okay. I just didn't know if there was, you know, if we get, you know, reimbursement for an open choice student, if there was a way to increase that a little bit, but
yeah,
that's
we
not really
look
an
at that
option.
we look at it each year, and based on our enrollment and how many spaces we have available,
Okay.
we open up seats.
All right, quarterly special education cost report. Sam?
So you look at this, it's in your board packet every month, and once a quarter you ask for a report. You ask for it because tuition can be very volatile. It's one of our most volatile areas. I don't have a lot of new information. We've been reporting over that we'd be unfavorable more than $450,000 since October, pretty much all year long. We've improved just a little bit in our forecast this month because in May, we learn exactly how much we'll receive for the excess cost grant. And the way that works is that the state has a pool, and depending on how much excess cost or how much tuition cost towns submit, they pay a portion of that. And it's usually, in the long-term average has been they pay 76% of that. been estimating 75% all year long, and in May, we found out they were going to pay 80% of our excess cost. So that meant a $35,000 improvement to our special ed cost tuition. Other than that, it's been pretty much par for the course all year long. Well, it's not par, it's below par, but it's been steady. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So there's no turf committee report.
Wait, Dave, please.
What? You have something to say, Dave?
No, I'm just taking
I'm just, yeah.
It's getting late, I'm getting silly.
Oh, no. Request approval, allowance of teachers, pre-K age children, enrollment at reduced tuition rate. Do I have a motion to allow Plainville teachers who live outside of the Plainville School District and who have pre-K age children to enroll their children in Plainville Community Schools at a reduced tuition rate?
Madam Chairman, I request approval of the proposal presented by the superintendent this evening for allowing or permitting an allowance of teachers of pre-K age children for enrollment at a reduced cost in the Plainville Community School System.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
And all in favor, can I see hands, please? We can do discussion, absolutely.
Just one quick thing, I would just, I'm hoping that we really strongly consider making that very modified, even if we are consider having them that way, if the space is there, the space is available, and it's not costing us something, it's something that may benefit the teachers. Sorry. It's something that could be a big benefit to the teachers and keeping them in town, so I would just hope that we would consider really modified, if a cost at all, because this would be, there would have to be space already, so it's not, we're not adding on classrooms or anything. But, legally, there'd probably have to be tuition set? No? Just take that into consideration.
I kind of feel that there should be something, just because it's going to help us as well. But I agree with you as far as keeping it something that's doable for their family life and family life-work balance.
Yeah, especially since so many towns now do have free preschool, I feel.
That is true.
It's beneficial to be
But-
able to offer that.
But then we're not really increasing the number size of the classroom either, so.
We are. Yes, we would be.
We would be.
We would be increasing the number size of the
I
classroom.
thought you said we're only taking 120.
Well, we wouldn't be increasing the total, but we'd be increasing, so if we take 5 students, we'd have 5 more students in our pre-K programs.
Oh.
Well, we wouldn't be going over the 120 though. It
Wouldn't
would
go
just
over
be,
the
so if you had
That'd be-
11
That's
in
what
a
I
room,
said.
you
We
could take
wouldn't
the
go over
one.
the 120, right?
Correct, we'd be increasing the number of pre-K students, but we wouldn't go over the number 120.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're not going to increase the number of children.
Right, so it would just be only if we had room in our current classrooms, in our current
That was in the
program.
proposal. That's what Steve presented to us.
I understand, so I'm just saying, it's not gonna it's not like we're putting on another classroom.
Well,
So
are
I
you
would
moving
consider
to
making the
amend
cost
the
very
motion?
minimal with
Are
the
you
discussion.
moving to amend the motion?
No,
Oh, okay,
I'm just asking for that consideration as they move forward and they decide the cost.
okay.
So the way it's written, it's at a reduced savings, I mean, at a reduced tuition rate, so I can follow up with, as I had said during the presentation, I'll follow up with just in a summary and then a proposed rate for, the board can, weigh in on that. And yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Did anybody else want to have conversation? Okay. So all in favor, show of hands, please.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Motion carries, sorry. I would like to request the approval of superintendent's new contract. Do I have a motion to extend the superintendent's contract for the period of 2022 to 2025 and to approve an increase of 3.5% increase to the superintendent's contract beginning July 1st, 2022?
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Sure.
So, we met long, maybe Steve was getting nervous because we just couldn't get around our ability to try and wordsmith everything, I think. So that's all it was. And, you know, we have a hard time, we always have a hard time finding like a really good tool to evaluate the superintendent. And that's why it took us so long. So I don't want anybody to think it took us a long time because we didn't think Steve's, you know, doing a great job. He is. We were very happy, right? We definitely wanted to extend a contract and to show, you know, our appreciation for a superintendent that's really done a lot for our district and continues to do a lot for our district and is exceptionally valuable to this community. So that was all I wanted to say.
Absolutely, and we also had a lot of new people, so that's why, you know, doing an evaluation and not having the experience, we did need more time, so, but yeah, no, it didn't have anything to do with you.
I know I'm very difficult.
We were just
so I
learning.
understand. No, I just want, I know you're gonna vote, but I just appreciate all the time that went into a discussion. I know I sent between the PowerPoint of goals and the overview of bullet points and different things achieved by not only me but our awesome team as a district. I know there's a lot of information to process and making sense of that and then putting it into an evaluation. So I appreciate the board's, and I'm not going anywhere. Plainville's my home away from home, and I'm committed to its schools, and I appreciate it very much.
And we appreciate all you do.
Sometimes you probably spend more time here than home.
Always.
For sure.
Always.
All right, so, do we have a motion? Did someone make the motion already?
Yes, they did.
Okay. So, Cassandra seconded?
No, Rebecca seconded. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I'm not taking notes.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Who's on his list?
Motion carries.
Thank you.
We're going to do the request approval of possible realized savings list. Do I have a motion to approve the realized savings list as presented?
Madam Chairman, I request that we approve the priority of realized savings as proposed by Mr. Adlerstein this evening.
Thank you. And do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Just wanted to make sure for clarity that the order for prepay was first the gas and oil, then legal, then turf.
That is correct. Do I have a second?
Sandra seconded.
No, she asked for discussion.
She also seconded.
Oh, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Moving over to the consent agenda, is there any need for discussion on any of the items on the consent agenda? If so, we'll need a motion to take that item off of the consent agenda for discussion. If there's no discussion, can I get a motion to approve the entire consent agenda as presented?
Motion to approve the entire consent agenda.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. And lastly, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Thank you. The
You're
motion
welcome.
unanimously carries. Meeting's over. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Lori.